Hey everyone, welcome to Creativity Connects with Mikki Wilson, a creative collective podcast where we go beyond the brand and get into the real stories behind creatives in business. Creative Collective is a business support program that provides modern resources, strategy, and connection for small businesses and creators because we believe that building something meaningful shouldn't mean that you're doing it alone. I am Mikki. I am your host, a team member of Creative Collective, and the founder of my own business, Dot Connector Consulting, where I work with women to amplify their value, their voice, and their visibility with intention. People know me as the Dot Connector, bringing women together, creating spaces for real conversation, and helping them build meaningful relationships that move their work forward. This series is all about the moments, the motivations, and the messy middles that shape who we are, not really just as creatives, but also as humans. Each episode, I'm going to sit down with a Creative Collective member to explore their journey, what drives them, and where they're headed next. Today, I'm sitting down with my friend Daybar Bugler. She is the heart and founder behind EDX Provisions, a thoughtfully curated gourmet market experience that's all about redefining food culture and community connection. Daybar's work lives at the intersection of hospitality, heritage, and intentional living. And today, we're going deep into the story behind it. Girl, I'm so excited. We are friends. We do work together, but I'm so excited that I get to talk to you today. Are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm
Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. So, I want to dig into the who, the how, and the why of like the journey that brought you to where you are in business right now. So, let's start with the you that we cannot Google. Who is Daybar beyond the business, and what's something about your journey that shaped who you are today?
Beyond the business. Okay, so I am a hot mess, but I own it. I own my hot messness. And I think that honestly embodies who I am. Like I really am like passion driven. And I like to see where things take me, where the road goes. My husband doesn't love that. But we're still rocking with it in 2025. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I am that person who you could call on Wednesday because you're not doing anything, and if I'm not doing anything, we can hang out. We don't need to schedule things. It's cool. It's cool. I also recently reassessed my life, and I have 2 kids, and most of my favorite people to currently hang out with don't have any children. So what does that mean about me? You know what I'm saying? I have no clue. So we just keep learning things about ourselves. We just keep learning.
I love this. That means you have built-in babysitters for your 2 children. Your friends without children, they may have disposable time, so don't be afraid to ask them for support. Just a little advice here. Me included. Me and Burrito have formed a bond.
Oh, he loves you.
When we're at markets together. And yes, tell your friends to get their change up too, because Burrito costs money. So tell me what pulled you into this work towards food, gathering, and creating experiences that feel so rooted in culture and intention.
So I by nature am like a creative person. Like when I graduated high school, I thought I was going to go to school to become a fashion designer. Like I applied to FIT. I was looking at colleges in New York. And when that didn't end up, I took like a gap year basically and kind of reassessed. And I think the main reason why I wanted to go into design and really follow like the creative side of myself was because of the business side of it. But I also do remember being at Peabody High School in my clothing design class with my friends and thinking to myself, if I was to start a brand, I would want it to be a partnership. Like I just knew myself at a really early age that like I guess the business side of myself where I was just built for partnership. I could never be a solopreneur. So in my head, I was like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to find that like bestie that like we just click and we're going to go and build that brand. Like that's what we're going to do. And I specifically remember the moment like those words came out of my mouth in my fashion design class. So, you know, fast forward going to school for fashion merchandising and working for vertical retailers and like bigger brands, like bigger brands retail stores like Saks Off Fifth. Yeah, it's interesting to find myself here. My passion for gourmet food and wine was really born out of the pandemic. A lot of us were sitting at home, and some of us were drinking a little bit more wine and needed an excuse. So I started studying wine on my own. And in 2021, I ended up taking my debut set in Cambridge at the wine school over there. And after taking my debut set, I remember just getting emails about different retailers that were looking for wine-focused people, which was a smart way to get a new employee base, right?
Yep.
They graduate, you figure out a way to like what wine shop can they go to. I applied to a bunch and I wasn't getting any people reaching back out to me, even with my purchasing background. That is my breastfeeding alarm. Okay.
I'm just laughing
We're
because
gonna
obviously
stop
we can
that.
edit that out, but I got scared too. Like, did I set an alarm for something today? And of course, right? This is how
Meant to be.
this is real life. This is what happens in real life. Okay, I thought I silenced the phone. Let's put it on super silent. It's the retrograde.
The
We
retrograde.
can keep that in for comedic effect if it works. That's so funny. Our phones are blowing up at the same time.
Simultaneously.
It's life of entrepreneurship, right?
I never stopped.
So funny.
So wine studies, and then I got a message about a shop that was looking for like a retail wine associate. And at the time, I was just like, it might not be a good time, but I kept their number kind of like on the back burner. And when my schedule opened up and made a little bit more sense for me to like do a part-time situation, I reached out, and it was perfect timing. Retail cyclical, so I reached out after the summertime when everyone was hiring, and ended up working for this group out in like the Boston area. The owner owned 3 different wine shops, and really believed in like buyers for every department, like really training people for their section, which you don't see a lot in bigger retailers anymore. They want you to be cross-trained. Everyone needs to know everything. And this man really believed in like, know your department. You're the back, like the back of your hand, and you're going to be our go-to person. And doing it that way, I saw his business thrive. But anyway, so passionate about wine, did wine studies. While doing that, this owner was phenomenal. He actually paid for me to like further my education.
Love that.
I ended up winning a scholarship to take my debut set level 2 in Tampa. And it just kept growing from there. Within his group, he had a shop that actually cut cheese to order. And then the 2 other shops just did retail cheeses. Or actually 2 of the shops did cut cheese to order. 1 of the shops did retail cheese. I started off in the shop that just did retail cheese. So I like fell in love with gourmet purchasing. I'd go out and meet like the vendors on my own, not even like on the company's dime, just to like hang and gush about cheese. And one day I got a chance to sub for somebody in one of the cutting stores and just fell in love with cheesemongering. Fast forward, working in the retail store, I really wanted to get more into the cut store and figured out a way to weasel my way in there. And my passion for gourmet food kind of just grew from there. I think it's a great background to have the wine and the cheese piece together. So I feel like I fell into it in the right way. Since then, I've been really excited about, gourmet food, gourmet purchasing, discovering new brands and putting them on. After that, I actually worked for another group, and they're in Boston, like the Back Bay, and I was their events coordinator. So went back to wine and got to curate events centered around wine and honestly sometimes cheese, because we ordered from a local cheese shop. And in 2022, I got the opportunity to apply for a loan with the city to open up my own shop. So after talking to my husband and my sister, we decided we wanted to do something gourmet based, and that's kind of how our shop was born. But it's been an interesting road since then.
I love this, and I'm just going to go back to a couple of points because, again, working with women in business, I love to kind of go back and hit points in the trail. But I love that while you were in fashion design school, you just knew that you wanted to be in what I call now partnerpreneurship. You knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, but you didn't want to do it alone.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that is important because a lot of times in entrepreneurship, we see people take on everything, and that can be a lot. So I love that you knew that about yourself. I love that you touched on intrapreneurship because by working with that owner at the store, I love his methodology of just being really good at your department. I would call it being the CEO of your department, right? Like that is your department. You know everything about it. And so I just love that he had that in his business model for you to learn from. And then you found you really honed in on what your passion is, and then taking it further by pairing it with that event experience and everything too. So I just think that's a really good, really cool connect the dots journey in entrepreneurship, and see how even before we get into the thing, how we're kind of already doing it
Yeah.
before we kind of, well, have our own baby. This
Right.
is kind of one of your original babies, right? So
Exactly.
Oh, I love this. So, what's something about your journey to this point that people don't see? Maybe it's something you've had to carry or overcome or even unlearn along the way. Share something with us.
So I get compliments all the time on like the marketing and the like my social media and stuff. And I think it looks better than, than it really is. Like people don't like the behind the scenes that is that I don't have a grid planner, that I'm not scheduling in advance. And these posts that go up at 12 a.m. are literally going up at 12 a.m. because I'm in the middle of breastfeeding and forgot to post the night before. So like don't read into everything. And I feel like we're all just trying to figure out and get by. And I think for some entrepreneurs, we want it to be so perfect. We want everything to be like easy and just to flow. And the truth is, it's probably not going to. And like, I think one of the reasons why I'm able to handle the level of sometimes stress or level of pressure or opportunities that are out there is because I want the best thing to happen. I want the best outcome to happen, but I'm also okay with it not being perfect as I'm getting there. Like as long as the end result looks gooch, looks good, looks polished, like it can be as messy in between as possible. And I know some people don't operate like that, and I get it.
Yep.
And to each his own, but I found that I do okay. I do okay with that.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I think there's something to be said about this word is overused right now a lot, but like the authenticity of being okay posting when you can, right? Progress over perfection. You're taking the actions and doing the thing. And I think there's so much more value in that than the thing actually looking perfect. And I've spent time with people that spend a lot of time on making things look perfect that never see the light of day. And I'm just like,
Yes.
you're doing the thing, and there's something authentic, more authentic, I think, about getting a post from you at midnight, like after you're breastfeeding, than the perfectly curated post and everything. And I think that we're seeing people move towards just being like real humans again too.
Yeah.
So we praise you for that. Give yourself
hey.
grace. I love that. I love that. Right now, what's feeling really rich and alive in your work or in your life? And what do you feel yourself growing next? What's the next look like for you?
What's feeling really rich right now is community, which is that word's used all the time. I don't overuse. I use it all the time.
That right now. Let's
But
keep using that.
We
one.
really. You know what? You're right. Yeah, no, it's community. It really is. Like I'm one of those people who like I love to do for others. Like that's like my love language. I love to do things for people, surprise them, like random drops, that kind of thing. And I never expect anything back. And honestly, like it's hard for me to accept stuff back. And that's something I'm trying to work on. Even just like words of praise, I'm like immediately lean into self-deprecation because I can't help it. So I'm working on that. But I will say like what's really luscious right now is the amount of community I didn't realize I had in Peabody on the North Shore. It's bananas. And I'm learning how to welcome it a lot more like easier than I have in the past, because there are people out there who genuinely are just kind and want to see you be okay and give a crap and really care. And I don't know why that's been hard for me to like process in my head, but we're out there, you know?
Yeah. I think that's what I love about the entrepreneurship journey too. You have to look inward and you figure out like what you're really made of, but at the same time, some of the things that we don't need start to fall away, and we really start to see the people that are like, oh, you keep showing up.
Yeah.
You keep showing up for me. Like, thank you. And even in the work that I do, I really make people think about what support looks like for them. Because I know, one, it's very hard for anybody, it seems, but women in particular, and I'm going to say women of color in particular, to ask for help. Right. And I think there's a whole other story to this. And yeah, that's hard. I noticed when I started using the word support, or even more so, when you're around business people, they always ask you how they can support you. And I was like, oh, we need to be able to answer like this question. So I love that you said that. I love the community piece because I believe in this old African proverb, and I'm bringing it back to life every day in every way. But it's the village raises the child proverb, right? And in this case, right, I think, especially in this time of day, we need a community that helps raise and support entrepreneurship, because I think that really adds to the vibrancy of wherever your backyard is at here and across the world. So, in the spirit of support, what does meaningful support look like for you right now? Not just in business, but for you as a human building something with intention and with heart.
Yeah. Honestly, just helping to spread our message, our content, things that I'm creating, that I'm realizing that that's super helpful. That's honestly the most helpful thing. Like, because it allows us to connect with other people who we might not get in direct contact with. A lot of the people who've been super supportive lately, or the support that we're feeling the most lately, are the people who are just like passing our name along or speaking our name in rooms that we're not in, that kind of thing. And it's proved to be like insanely helpful, you know? So that's been really, really good. And then also just asking questions, right? Like if you're not really sure, I think when we first started our business, it looks a lot different than it did like, in 2023. Folks didn't understand necessarily what we were doing. Honestly, we didn't really understand what we were doing. But we've got more people asking, so what is happening here? Like, what are you trying to do? And those questions really helped because it got us to start getting used to saying it, and then also looking at what we were saying and being like, does this space reflect what we're trying to tell people? Why is everyone not understanding what we're trying to communicate? So that really helped, just people continuing to ask us questions when they're around us and like being authentic about it. That's been really helpful.
I love that. And, I love when people ask questions, because for me, it's kind of market research, right? When they're asking the question, I ask, why are they asking this question? But then I also go into like, okay, how can I respond or
Yeah.
answer not just the question, but like, what actions am I going to take to communicate like this thing that made me think? So I love that you're looking for connections and questions.
Yeah.
So with that said, where can people find you in these online and offline, aka main streets? Where can people find you so that they can connect with you or ask questions or support you in any way?
Definitely. So Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, you can find me in the store on Main Street. Fridays are going to be open from 4 to 7 p.m. And then Saturdays and Sundays, we're there from 10 to 2. And then we're on all the social media platforms. I'm such a millennial girly. I'm still getting used to the talk. Okay, you youngins out there, like I don't really understand TikTok completely, but I'm out here trying. So don't laugh at our TikTok feed. But I'm on TikTok. We're on LinkedIn. I love connecting with professionals on LinkedIn. It's kind of crazy how I feel like LinkedIn is slept on. If you're not currently on LinkedIn, building connections and making friends, you should be. There are a lot of professional people out there who just want to, I don't want to say necessarily mentor, but share the information that they know with you. I was at a hair salon literally like 3 or 4 months ago, and I did a post about how, we're struggling as a gourmet cheese shop and we could use some help in different like areas. And I had a cheese professional literally reach out to me from New York. And while I'm sitting in the hair salon in the chair, I'm on the phone with him and he's walking me through the last shop he owned, his investor process. And he asked me if I had any questions. My questions were definitely financially focused, but then I had a couple questions on like, how do I make my storefront yell cheese shop? Because that's something it like wasn't doing.
Yeah.
And he had great recommendations. Some of them I can't afford yet.
Yeah. I hear that.
But we're working on. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Connections, conversations, and questions. I find these always lead to the opportunities that we're looking for, or even uncover the opportunities that we didn't even know we were aware of. So I love that for you, and thank you. I'll be in soon. Y'all, if you have not tried one of these grilled cheese sandwiches yet, like I just drool when I see them on the timeline, and I'm like, I got to do something with my life on the weekends and get out of here. So we know where to find you. And I would say I'll give you a little challenge. I didn't think I was going to do this, but I'm going to give you a little challenge because I'm invested and I want to see you win. When you're on LinkedIn, I also know that you are the one of the very few, if not the only, Black women-owned charcuterie shops and cheese shops around. I'm going to say in America. So the challenge is I want you to talk more about that on LinkedIn because that may attract some of more of the eyes on this business that we see growing and unfolding. So I love LinkedIn too. And it's amazing the connections we make on there. But yes, girl, put the spotlight on yourself. I love to see what you're doing. And I just want to thank you for sharing who you are,
Anytime.
how you're doing it, and what led you here. Any final words before we close out this episode?
Yeah, yes, I do have something to say.
Please share.
You know what? Life is really short, and we've had some things happen in the last couple months that have like really made that very a prominent conversation in our life. And for anyone out there who is like really nervous about entrepreneurship in 2025, in the time of our Lord 2025, it is crazy out here right now, y'all. I'd say, if it's something you're really passionate about, reach out to other people in the industry you're looking to get into. There could be a way for you to dip your toe into that industry without having to fully fledged rent out a space and do that, take out a loan and do all this all this extraneous stuff. There might be a little smaller baby step to your future entrepreneurship that you might not have been able to see. So talk to somebody in your industry about that or the industry you want to get into.
I love this sage wisdom.
Yeah.
Daybar, thank you for this conversation today.
Thanks
and
for having
just,
me.
of course, and being able to share with us who you are. And that is it for today's episode of Creativity Connects. A huge thank you to Daybar Bugler for sharing not just what she does, but who she is, and reminds us of the power of showing up as ourselves, even when we're in the messy middle. This podcast is brought to you by Creative Collective. We are a business support program that provides modern resources, strategy, and connection for small businesses and creators, because building something meaningful doesn't mean that you should be doing it alone. To learn more about Daybar and her work, please check out our show notes for links and ways to connect. If there is something in today's conversation that resonated with you personally, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. These stories are meant to move and connect us all. Thank you for listening.